taking a half day?
Yeah, taking a half day. Nice little afternoon.
I appreciate that.
It's
Taking the time to come and see us.
No, I wanted to get on after you spoke about it last time we met.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're such a fantastic guest to have on as
very
well. With
excited.
All you've got going on.
It'll be really great for everyone to hear about all the things you've been working on. And well, we met initially through a writers group as well, which Caroline's talking about, playwriting group, which again we'll definitely have to give a big shout out to, because I think that's an amazing creative opportunity as well for people that you've cultivated.
Should we just crack on and open up the pod and have officially start talking about
Let's officially do it
properly.
Let's get into it.
Okay, welcome everyone to another episode of the Manchester Indie Theatre podcast.
Woo!
So today you're here with me, Caroline.
And Amelia.
And our special guest today is Kieran Scott, who is one of the founding members of Pink Zip Theatre and has so many exciting things coming up. So we're really thrilled to talk to him. But firstly, we need to kick off, as we always do, with our What's On in Manchester. So would you like to start us off there, Amelia?
Yeah, I was wondering if you wanted to read this one, because I know you enjoyed reading the title
I
of
like
that.
the rude ones.
The rude ones.
I like seeing ones with swear words in them, because no one can tell me
I'll put Caroline's name on this one.
Thank you, you know me so well.
If you'd like to.
I would love to.
I mean, it sounds amazing.
It sounds amazing. So this is I Fucking Love Someone I Fucking Hate, written by Hannah Mullen and directed by Eliza Beth Stevens. And that's on the 20th of July at 53:2. And so to give you the official description of the show, she loves fucking, she hates love. After an accidental group text, Charlie resorts to hiding places and extravagant lies when her several lovers turn up for the evening. The sofa is hungry, the bathroom is occupied. Welcome to Charlie's Friday night. When the doorbell rings, make sure to leave your problems at home. We don't need more mess. So this is a 1-hour genre-bending dark comedy teamed with fresh new writing, physical comedy and original music. Prepare to laugh out loud at this razor-sharp satire exposing the highs and lows of modern love. Exhilarating yet devastating. Oh my god, I want that to be a review for my show. Exhilarating yet devastating.
Yeah,
I love it. I want to watch this. Oh my god.
I know, it sounds so good. I'm very excited.
I've seen this play advertised.
Have you seen
myself.
it? Oh, yeah. Advertised.
I've seen it advertised, and the title just jumps out to you.
It does. I was like, we're gonna have to just give this a shout out.
Oh my god,
sure.
Yeah, that's such good marketing. Excited for that. But go on, Amelia, what's your shout out?
Our next shout out is to Daniel Hutchings, who is an independent filmmaker and experimental live artist. So since 2014, Daniel has made 6 feature-length art comedies, or thingies as he calls them, that he's been screening for the general public every month since January 2024. So thingies have been screened in a variety of venues, from libraries and pub function rooms to the Pictureville Cinerama screen at the National Science and Media Museum in Bradford. And they've since found a home at the Eagle Inn in Salford, which is where Daniel also hosts his monthly fan club events. And so he's going to be screening a documentary about these art comedy experimental pieces that he's created at the GM Fringe this year, which is called Year of the Thingy. And it will be screening at Eagle Inn on the 26th. And whilst these are in film format, Daniel also presents them with some spoken word and stand-up as part of the show. So it sounds really cool and exciting. So definitely, if you're able to go and catch that on the 26th of July at the Eagle Inn, please do.
And this provides a perfect segue as well into our discussions with our lovely guest Kieran, because the Eagle Inn, we all have that in common to some extent.
We do.
We met at the Playwriting Social, which was organised at the Eagle Inn. I think that's on hiatus at the moment, but I hope that it comes back, because it was a fab thing that went on. And Kieran facilitated these events, which were really casual, really lovely. But they've given rise to some great things already. I mean, my OffCut is based heavily on a concept that I brought to one of those events. So I've got you to thank for a lot, Kieran, but now we're on the subject, we might as well introduce our special guest, Kieran.
Special guest. Kieran is a playwright and co-founder of the Manchester-based theatre company Pink Zip Theatre. In 2025, Kieran took his play Leeches to the Manchester Fringe Festival with Pink Zip Theatre, their debut play as a company, and won the Right for the Stage Award for Best New Writing. They were also nominated for Best Play and the Audience Choice Award. The play was since published with Right for the Stage books. Kieran first studied drama at Lincoln University, but when he moved to Manchester to study the playwriting MA at Manchester Metropolitan University, he fell in love with the city and has been here ever since. Kieran has been longlisted for the Bruntwood Prize for playwriting in 2019 with his play Soothe, and in 2022 with Leeches, and in 2025 with The Last Night on Earth, which also made the final 30 in the Divided Culture Playwriting Award 2025. And currently, Kieran's new play, James Wakes Up, is set to be performed at Lyceum Theatre, Oldham on Friday the 7th of August.
Fantastic.
So very exciting.
I keep forgetting how much we have in common though, because we went to Lincoln University. We're not together. We went at separate times, obviously, but we both went to Lincoln Uni. We both did MAs in Manchester in playwriting.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
and
it's exciting.
I looked at the one that you did as well at the uni of.
Yeah.
I was sort of deciding between the two, but yeah, Lincoln's a bit of a stronghold for drama. It's a great place to study generally.
Yeah, it is. It was a lovely uni.
Yeah,
loved it.
Really lovely uni, and the drama course very much facilitates the space to try everything. Like,
yes, it
not
really
just
does.
acting. You can do directing, you can do writing, and there's a lot of like choice, I found.
Yeah, I feel like they had this aim of doing sort of conservatoire style training, not just the academic side of things. Like, they wanted people to have a practical grasp of all of these different skills as well as having done the reading. And I think it set me in really good stead. They took us to Edinburgh and we put plays on Edinburgh and everything.
That's great.
So it was really, it was fantastic.
Same,
So they're still doing that when you went.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Through the Lincoln Company. It was.
Lincoln
Rachel
Company.
Bainton,
That brings back memories of the Lincoln Company.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, gosh, you've done fantastically in a very short space of time, considering 3 long-listed plays for Bruntwood, for example. And Bruntwood is, nationally renowned. So you've had Soothe, Leeches, and Last Night on Earth shortlisted. And then Divided Culture as well, the Playwriting Award, I believe Natalie Beach had Bears produced Divided Culture, and I think she must have been, was she the winner of that particular group?
I believe so, because it culminated in the production at Contact. Which was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
Yes,
but it's so funny that there's the connections with all these guests and hosts. And
there is.
But congrats on the Right for the Stage Award as well.
And exciting about your new play as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You're always working on something.
Trying to keep the ball rolling with things.
Well,
that's the best way to be.
You've got so much going on, working with Dare to Know as well in Oldham.
Yeah.
It's great you're making these connections too.
Yeah, it's been really cool. We met Dare to Know through like a networking event at Factory International, and Jake Talbot was on the discussion panel. And we were chatting after, and like, we're quite a new company, really. Pink Zip. I met Tom last year, and I was sat on this play, and we ended up sort of doing it for Fringe, and that's where we're up to so far, basically. And because Dare to Know have been going for quite some time, they basically took us on as mentees, and have been really, really helpful for us, because we're just sort of getting to grips with how to operate as a theatre company at the moment.
It's amazing. It feels like the material you're producing is sort of overtaking your experience as a theatre company is so short, and yet you've got so many things that are being chucked at you that you're putting out that
sounds really good.
It's such a strange way around to do it, but so great because you have so many options. It's really cool.
I've been writing for a number of years, obviously since Lincoln.
Of course,
which I left in 2019, and I sort of found my love for writing like in third year, really. But I've been writing since. But I got into this habit of writing stuff and then like submitting it and sending it off to places, but nothing ever really transpired after that. Obviously the Bruntwood came about, and I've had some really, really useful chats with them, and they've been like really instrumental in like developing me as a writer, just from the feedback they've given and the advice that they've given. But like I say, it wasn't till last year where I just sort of said to myself, I'm going to try just putting something on.
No, good for you.
And it's amazing once you speak to the right people and email the right places, and network in the right places. It's cool how things can come together, even if you don't have any money, which we definitely don't.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's just the way of things, isn't it? But it is just amazing, because you say you've been writing for a number of years, but only since 2019, really. And it's amazing how much you've achieved in that short space of time. That's a space of time that people consider really nothing at all in the grand scheme of things. There's so many people who work to get stuff on, that work to get their sort of canon together and everything like that. And you know, this is what 7 years or so. You've gone from having nothing to having all of this going on at once. It's huge. It's like an explosion, I think.
It's exciting. It's really, really exciting. And yeah, we're amidst rehearsals at the moment for this new play.
For James Wakes Up. Yeah. I'd love to hear more about that, absolutely.
Yeah. Blimey, I can't even remember where it started. I'll tell you where it did start. I wrote a first draft and realised it was 2 plays in one.
Oh yes, I feel like you said
I feel like we spoke about this. I have to be very honest about that. I think an idea for it came, and then I got interested in something else, and I finished it with, you know, that the interest in this other idea, and it ended up being like almost like 2 versions of a play at once. So I had to pick one. I became very interested in, and I know it's spoken about a lot, but the manosphere.
Yeah, of course.
Just in terms of how it's affecting men and boys and everyone really.
Yeah.
But something in particular that I found interesting about the manosphere and what has come from it is this resurgence of the expectation of a male to provide.
Yeah.
It feels like that sort of very traditional, possibly outdated value is starting to come back as a result of the manosphere.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I was interested in writing a play about a man who is affected by that.
Yeah.
And without it explicitly stating it, he sort of becomes driven by that ideal of providing.
Yeah.
For himself and his fiancée, for himself and his entire family. He becomes obsessed with being like the financial anchor of it. He's approaching his late 20s and he realises that he's sort of lived his life quite passively, and he just completely turns his life on its head.
That sounds absolutely fascinating. That's such a really interesting
very
premise.
very prevalent
Really
right
prevalent.
now with all the conversations that are happening and the concerns that rightfully are growing. I think it's a really important topic to definitely be used in theatre and explored. And
I mean, my first play, The Dissolution of Percy, was about the Bronte family and the brother of the Bronte family, who really had several kind of mental health issues. He was addicted to substances, but he was the only boy, and therefore, because it was Victorian society, he was expected to support. Originally, he would have been expected to support 5 sisters, whose father was a parson, and they wouldn't have inherited anything from him when he died. So it was all on this lad. 2 of his sisters died in their childhood, but he still had the 3 Bronte sisters, and fortunately for him, they all became prolific writers because he faded into the background and died at the age of 31. But it was the really similar idea of that provider. We're trying to return now to that Victorian idea, which is not right for everyone.
No, I mean, I think compared to the other things I've written, this, especially the like emotional anchor of it, it almost feels quite close to myself. I'm approaching 30.
Same here.
I know it's not an inherently male thing, but in terms of like what the manosphere is perpetuating, at least, I'm starting to question now, like, what's my responsibility?
Yeah.
Where do I need to be? My girlfriend earns more money than I do.
But this rhetoric tells you that's the wrong way round, it's absolutely
it's
not.
wild.
Everyone's different, but you'll kind of, it's forced down your throat that no, this is the hierarchy, this is how things should work. And that's such an interesting thing to interrogate. No, I'm thrilled to see it. Sounds great.
I'm really looking forward to it. And the rehearsal process has been an absolute dream. The people we've got involved in it. We've got Joe Walsh directing it. We've got Sam Hall assisting on it. We've got Eve Phillips coming as sort of an associate director / dramaturg. Really helped because it's quite a new script. It's been really good to have that person to, you know, suggest improvements for the script and then suggest improvements for direction, that kind of thing. And then we've got an incredible cast as well. It's one of them rehearsal rooms. It's been so far where everybody just comes with offers.
That's great.
And everybody just contributes. It's none of it's like, oh, where do you want me to be? Where do you want me to stand?
Yeah.
It's like, this is what I could bring. This is what I could suggest.
That's so
brilliant.
fulfilling, isn't it?
It's so good.
It's a collaborative process, and that's my favourite kind of rehearsal period, you know.
And when people feel confident? I've combined 2 words
I
there.
love that.
Confident and comfortable is what I was
I'm
going
using
for.
that
Confident.
in future. Confident, guys.
To bring their ideas to the table. And I think that that's also credit to the team involved, that you're cultivating that environment where people feel like, you know, able to offer their ideas and to not feel that they have to hold back or anything, and that everyone's bringing a lot to the table. And I'm sure that will definitely reflect in the piece when it's performed.
Yeah, I really hope so. I envisioned it almost being like potentially too many chefs at the start. I was like, because there's going to be a lot of people in this room.
Yeah.
You know, it's a cast of 7 and there's like 4 crew members currently sort of involved, including myself. And obviously everybody's lovely, so you know, I never really like expected that to happen. But in the back of my mind I thought, what if everybody's trying to chuck ideas in? But it's been such like an open space for that, and it's nice to have been able to facilitate that.
Absolutely. I was thinking the number of offstage people you've got providing support and input it's so unusual, because we're so used to in Fringe everything being really stripped back to absolutely the bare minimum you could possibly need to put things on. Sometimes people don't have a producer, sometimes people are writer directors. They really squeeze everything out that they can of a very small group, and it's really refreshing to hear that you're bringing people in to fulfill these separate roles, bring in their own expertise. And it's so nice to hear about having a crowded rehearsal room for once with all these different perspectives. I'd love to see more of that in the future. I think it's really valuable. Sounds brilliant.
No, it's been really cool. I feel really privileged to like have so many people like behind it almost. And I think it's kind of come from what's been really cool over the last year. Since we did Leeches last year, we've been doing these sort of stints where we do write nights at King's Arms. And that's really great to, you know, give opportunities to writers, actors, directors, etc. to come and put work on and to come and put works in progress on. But what they're also really great for, I found, is just that networking.
Absolutely.
I feel like once people put themselves forward to come and be a part of it, we never really wanted to end it there. You know, it's sort of been a continuous thing where if somebody's come and been involved in one of these write nights, more often than not, we've then contacted them again to be like, do you want to come and do this? Do you want to come and do that kind of thing?
You've created a community within this project where, you know, when you've worked with someone, you're like, oh yeah, do you want to be involved in the next one? Yeah, and that's always a great thing. And there's a lot of events like that in Manchester, I think, and so many things to get involved in.
Yeah, I mean, really early doors with this podcast, a listener said, we need more theatre networking events.
Yeah.
And at the time, we couldn't really think of any. And I know that your Write Nights aren't explicitly networking events, but as you say, they provide that as well.
Yeah.
You know, I went to a fantastic, I think it was the last one you did, was it last month? Gosh.
It was May,
May,
May time.
And these are basically scratch nights, aren't they, of like short works in progress, just to get them on their feet after a single rehearsal in front of an audience. And, you know, I saw so many people that I knew afterwards, I saw so many people that I didn't know, and it was just rammed, it was absolutely packed.
And the same, I think I went to one towards the end of last year as well, and it was just brilliant. Like, it's just getting, I love going to see new writing and support new writing, but like just seeing any event where you're just seeing these amazingly talented group of people getting up and putting on these pieces of work, it was a really great night, and I got to chat to so many incredible people there. So
it's such a great asset to the local theatre scene, and it's similar to Flat Pack bringing Pint of Theatre in February. You know, we're kind of building a little roster here of like all these events where not only do you get to see creatives put their work on, try their work out, but you get to mingle afterwards and find out who's out there doing stuff.
But I feel like most of these Write Nights, Scratch Nights, when they do take place, it's usually always in the room of a pub. And you know, I do feel like network events in of themselves, I've been to them before and struggled to, you know, start conversation and things like that. You know, in terms of starting a conversation, I can sometimes be quite like socially awkward. But then once I'm in the flow of conversation with somebody, it's fine. But a really special thing about these Write Nights and Scratch Nights is the conversation points are already there. So like when you're in the bar after having a pint or whatever you drink, you know, you can start those conversations in a more sort of relaxed manner.
It's a really great opportunity. But also, like I say, they're on hiatus at the moment, but another sort of networking adjacent thing that you did was the scripted social events at the Eagle Inn. And that sort of set us up with all kinds of contacts and connections. And how did you fall into that?
So I think the very first time I spoke to Jess over email, Jess, just for the record, it runs Scripted Social, lovely person, and the company's going from strength to strength from what I've seen.
Absolutely.
I originally sent Jess a play. It was Last Night on Earth, one of the newer ones that I've written, because Scripted Social do monthly reads of plays. The group get together, they'll read the play in the morning, they'll feed back and they'll talk about it, and then in the afternoon they'll workshop scenes and stuff. And she basically came back to me and said, do you want to come and do it? So we did that in April, which was really cool. Amazing to sort of hear it back and hear people's thoughts on it, and then like see scenes put together and like Jess directs that afternoon as well, which is cool. But as a bit of a side note, she, in her email response to me, she'd seen what had happened with Leeches at the Fringe, and she'd read the play, and I think she enjoyed reading it, and she offered for me to come and run these playwriting workshops that she was planning on setting up. So these took place at the Eagle Inn in Salford, which was a really nice place, a little room in the pub. And we just sort of...
That's how I met Andy.
That's how we met.
Yeah. You also met Andy.
Oh, yeah, Andy Farhan.
Andy Farhan.
He's involved in everything. He comes to everything. In fact, he was at OffCut. For the record, this is being recorded on the 3rd of July. He was at OffCut last night. Interestingly enough, my piece, Undeniable Proof, was developed with a huge amount of help from the social events at the Eagle Inn. I brought it to be read, and there was some great input. It meant I revised what I was doing with it. But that would not have come to pass. I don't think I'd have got into OffCut without the support of that fantastic workshop. So it's just great, isn't it?
I was so gassed that you put that play forward, because when you brought it in, it was... and everybody read it. People just loved it. I mean, it's a short play,
it's a really good piece.
Yeah, really, really, really strong piece.
But still, by the time this comes out, OffCut will be over, and we'll hear the results. It's exciting. Hi everyone, it's Caroline from the future. Just with a little update, the OffCut final has now happened and the results were very exciting. So the winning play was Eggshells, which was written by fellow playwriting social attendee Jane Martin. So that's another big accolade for the playwriting social. It also won the panel award for ensemble acting. Undeniable Proof won both the writing and directing awards. That's for myself and the lovely Luke Walters. And one of our actors, Rob Peters, was nominated for Best Actor. The winners for Best Actor were Dion Hunter, Sue Scantlebury and Ella Holt. So what a fantastic event and lots to shout about. But I hope you don't mind discussing this, Kieran. When we were walking in, you were talking about Leeches and how there was the possibility of it being brought back.
Yeah.
And you've made the executive decision that now is not the right time. You've put a pause on it, haven't you?
Put a pause on it, I think is the best way of putting it. It's not been cancelled.
No, it's not cancelled, no.
I'm determined to get it back on. But yeah, in the same manner as James Wakes Up, Leeches was meant to be put on as part of the Dare to Create festival. The two plays alongside one another. But just practically speaking, things haven't worked out for one reason or another. Things have cropped up in terms of people's availability, including my own, rehearsal space, which I think is a big question mark in Manchester at the moment, and everywhere.
It really is,
and just things kept cropping up in a practical sense, and I just thought, instead of potentially rushing things based on scattered rehearsals here and there and limited rehearsals here and there, to come together with the people who have agreed to be involved and who are excited to be involved sort of later in the year, over a coffee or a pint or whatever, and just discuss a time when everybody's free and all chip in terms of finding the space to be able to rehearse and things like that, because it was a bit of a struggle, but I'm hoping we'll be able to put it on sometime towards the end of the year.
Yeah, and I think that's a really positive thing to be able to discuss, because, I honestly think that Pink Zip is like moving at double the speed of like most theatre companies. I feel like this is a really advanced decision-making moment where things have come to a head and you're like, this isn't practical right now. And it's such a kind of a mature, established creatives move to be like, maybe it's not for right now then. You're allowed to do that, and I think that new creatives especially have this pressure to be like, no, I have to do it whatever the cost, and they'll put on something that's potentially not reached its full potential.
It's not ready yet.
It's not ready. Obviously you've done Leeches before, so the script is clearly ready, but the process, putting it together. But also you can burn yourself out so badly with all the different things you're working on adjacently to each other. It's such a sensible move, and I think it's a really positive thing to be able to talk about on a podcast like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not the right time. Doesn't mean it'll never be the right time. It's fine.
100%. It was just a case of being like realistic with myself as well. I work a full-time job.
Yeah, mate.
I literally work a 9 to 5, and I a lot of creatives working independently are in that same boat, and I think it gets to a point where you have to question yourself in terms of how much you can actually take on, because I think potentially if things had gone well with putting Leeches together, and I was then producing 2 plays
whilst doing a
alongside a
full-time
full-time job. I honestly think I'd have burnt out. And tops to the people that are, are juggling all of this, because.
But also, is it sensible for them to be doing that?
I mean,
Let's ask
it
the
is
question.
tough. I did myself for the longest time do the 9-to-5 job full time as well, and tried to do everything, because as you do, you need to provide for yourself. You need to live your life. But for creatives who are also doing another job on top of it, it's like you kind of almost a performer, a writer by night, and then you do your day job by day. And it's just. It can be very difficult, I think, and a lot of people do burn out. So it is so important to look after yourself and to kind of work within your means. But I think it's, you kind of get one or the other, don't you? You have like the struggling with the full-time job and trying to balance, everything. And then also you've got the part-time work, and then it's doing lots of different jobs, and then it's hours all over the clock. So it's hard, isn't it? I think living that sort of in the creative space, you do have to sort of manage your time and your well-being and be really conscious of kind of the projects you take on.
Yeah, I think the decision you've made is one to look up to for many people, including myself.
You're crazy. No. Caroline is crazy. If you've seen Caroline's schedule, she has like a little document on her phone which has
I've been
all
told
of
it's
the
a hate
events.
crime. I've been told it's a hate crime.
It's on there. I've had a look at it and it hurts my brain.
It's honestly, you'll see the selfies that we take for this episode. I do not look right at the moment. I am not well. I do too much.
No.
But that's the thing. That's why I thought it was really important to talk about this decision that you've made to step back from this one particular project for the time being, because people need to be talking about that. People need to be not doing everything all the time. Chill out for a moment, have a break.
Yeah.
And that's really, But, it's great to know that Leeches is somewhere down the pipeline.
Yeah.
So you've got James Wakes Up now. Shortly you'll have Leeches, and then you'll have another thing that's like stepping stones. But I'm excited to see it when it comes back on.
Yeah, me too. And I think despite us having to, delay it, I've still, again, met people who have become interested in working on it and working with me. And it's been a great networking opportunity. I met Helen Parry, who you introduced me to.
Who we go on about
Parry,
all the time.
Yeah,
Take a drink.
Honestly, take a shot every time you hear Helen Parry's name in the podcast, but actually maybe don't do that.
No.
It was a great chat we had at the King's Arms.
Yeah, she's fabulous. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Even if something doesn't come to fruition straight away, if you've put your feelers out, you've now got a whole roster of people that you can call upon to put on a project with in the future.
Yeah. In the rehearsal process, I quite like to be hands-on as well. So
yeah.
I think if I'd have had 2 going on at once, I'd feel quite bad if, I was more distant from one than another.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, but...
It's the way things fall sometimes,
Yeah. And James Wakes Up's obviously very new, so I have, done my best to be as present as I can just in terms of that development. So I think if I had anything more going on, it'd have been hard to juggle, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a sensible decision, and definitely, because I think it can be easier to get so excited about the possibility of so many different projects, and obviously you want to be able to do them all, but then you are limited in, physically.
You're just a human, aren't you?
Yeah. You're human, and I think it's, as a creative, there's that fire, isn't there, to do so much and to do everything, and I love that, and I applaud that, and because we need that in the creative industry, but also it is just, like you say, I think it's a good decision to kind of look at it and say, right, can I give my best to this? And if I sort of push myself over the edge, you just don't want to go down that path.
No.
So I think, that's a sensible approach, and it's very exciting, and I am, wishing you all the success with it.
Yeah, gosh. Tell you what, how about at this point we go back through our what's on? So, it's me first again, and I get to say the rude words.
I'm going to note these down as you're reading them out.
Yeah?
Write them down in my calendar.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. These are both sort of later in the month ones as well, which is great. It's a bit of a run-up. So... my call out is for I Fucking Love Someone I Fucking Hate, written by Hannah Mullen and directed by Eliza Beth Stevens. And this is a 1-hour genre-bending dark comedy which teams fresh new writing with physical comedy and original music. It's a razor-sharp satire exposing the highs and lows of modern love. And my favourite 3-word summary is exhilarating yet devastating. Yeah, I'm going to do... Oh no, I've realised I can't go because I'm in Poland when it's on. Oh my God. Someone's going to have to report back because I really want to see that.
When is it? 20th of July. Okay.
Listeners, go and see it and send us emails about how great it is. But anyway, and Amelia, your turn?
I'm just going to give a shout out to Daniel Hutchins, an independent filmmaker and experimental live artist, who for the past decade has been making feature-length art comedies, which he calls Thingies. And he's been screening these for the general public every month since January 2024. So he's going to be screening a documentary about his events as part of the GM Fringe Festival. And he'll be screening this at the Eagle Inn on the 26th of July. Daniel presents them with some spoken word and stand-up, but it sounds very exciting, and we can drop a link to the website and to the event page as well.
For the year of the thingy.
For the year of the thingy at the Eagle Inn on the 26th of July. Thank you again to everyone who's been writing in and sending us your shows. You know, we love hearing about what you've got going on, and we love any opportunity to give you a shout out. So please do, you know, email in if you have something coming up that you want us to give a mention to.
Yeah, we're often scheduled quite a way in advance with guests, but that does not mean that you can't still get a shout out off us.
Yeah.
Literally, like, chuck us an email, and if we possibly can fit a shout out in before the date of your event, we absolutely will.
Yeah, we'll do our best always to factor it in according to the schedule.
Absolute worst case scenario, we'll just share stuff on socials for you if we've just missed the opportunity to get you on a podcast. So absolutely message in, say what you need to say, and we'll get it out there in any way we can. So
we like to use this bit, I guess, just to ask for if you have advice for the listeners and for anyone. And I mean, you've been sharing a lot already, but I guess as a playwright and someone who is developing your own plays and your own work, any sort of advice to anyone who is kind of looking to do that, or if there's anything else that you think is important as a creative in this industry?
Do it yourself.
That seems to be a common thread throughout these, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's just try it. Just in whatever capacity you can, just give yourself that space to try it. But then on the other side of the spectrum, if you're trying loads of different things on top of a full-time job and a life, it's just be pragmatic with how much you can take on. It's so easy to get consumed by it and by the idea of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the idea can sometimes not work out, and that's absolutely fine. When you're working with a low budget, like, these things are difficult.
Yeah.
And you don't sort of realise how much goes on behind the scenes and how much can potentially go wrong, but that's fine.
And it's never the end as well. The great thing about theatre is that things can be revised and revived and brought back. And I've had plays that I've written where I've kind of cannibalised them and taken bits out of one and put them in another. And, you know, you've not failed if a particular project hasn't come off. You've just got a huge roster of new stuff that you can play with now.
Yeah,
literally.
You have to not compare yourself, I think, to other people as well in terms of what you're putting out there sometimes, because I think that can put a lot of pressure on someone, I think, to think, oh, we have to get this out now.
Yes.
But, you know, that's not the case. You know,
it's a process.
It's a process, and do it when you're ready, and, you know, it will happen, and you're putting the pressure on yourself. No one else is putting that pressure on you.
Absolutely. That's the thing. There's no expectations from the outside, and that can be quite freeing. There's no one watching you going, what are they doing next? Especially at this stage in your career. People are just going to be pleasantly surprised with things you bring out. They're not sitting there on tenterhooks going, come on then, come on.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, everybody's still going to be there. Like,
exactly.
Nobody's going anywhere.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody is just learning as they go. It's a constant learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You are. And I think, you know, if there are times where you need to step back for a bit, you know, again, it's that fear is, oh my God, if I take a step back for a bit, is that going to change it? It's not, you know, you have to do what's right for you, and everyone that you've known and worked with and loved and love you will still also be there. You know, you have to look after yourself.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that can be really great as well, when you do take a step back and you come back in and you see something with a fresh perspective and you're energized and you've got that, you know, motivation for it again. I think when it feels right for you, do it. And when you feel like you've got the team ready, you've got the piece where you want it to be, that's when it will happen. And it is a case of just when, not if, you know, it will.
Exactly. And you can still engage with the scene as well. You don't have to be actively working yourself to the bone. You can still go to events, go to shows, talk to people, see what's on, do that kind of casual friendly networking without having something to sell all the time, which is really nice. It means you're not losing any traction at all.
I think it's worth saying off the back of that as well. I think especially for a writer, but it's relevant to all sorts of creatives, and I'm sure you two can relate to this being playwrights yourselves. I feel like the importance of being able to do nothing as a writer,
Yes.
or just take the time to read,
Yeah.
and take the time to go and see plays, and take the time to
Experience life.
Experience life, yeah, 100% is massively understated, and it's a huge part of the process, right?
We haven't asked you where your love of creativity started and how you started as a creative. Like, why did you decide to enter this industry in the first place? You went to Lincoln to study drama. What drew you to drama?
See, I think it was just an interest in people, like
Yeah.
the way people behave, the wider structures that are in place that like dictate the way we behave in some way, or like drive the way we behave. I became, when I was at uni, really interested in Simon Stevens' work,
Yeah.
just because he has this real knack of questioning the bigger societal structures, how they dictate and drive human beings and the way we behave and what we want. And like, I became really obsessed with his work, and I went into uni wanting to act, and I came out of uni wanting to write.
Yeah.
And I think it was that innate like passion about like why we do certain things, and like we're so weird, aren't we? Like,
I know.
We
like,
are.
human beings are so weird, and like my interest is looking at potentially why.
That's
Why
a
are we
great
so
motive.
weird?
It's good to have that as like a thing in the back of your mind, if that's your motive as a creative, to just explore and find out why we do what we do.
I mean, that's the fascination, I think, with theatre as well, and with any sort of, when you're watching an actor and you're watching actors present these real life stories, you know, or just stories that represent real life. I think it resonates with people because we are so complex and so intricate, in our experiences that range across the scale. And I just think it's fascinating as a writer to explore that, and to explore bringing a human, you know, from the page to the stage.
Yeah, like that fleshed out life. And I think that's what shows a really great writer, is you can see this person as a fully fleshed out human being just from reading the script. And yes, that's maybe more to do with naturalistic drama, and people often, you know, avoid that on purpose from a creative perspective, like avoid naturalism. But yeah, I find it really, really interesting when you've clearly got that interest in human nature.
Yeah, and I think the theatre's I mean, biased, but the best medium for that.
I agree.
In
It is.
presenting that. We're really lucky at Lincoln. I don't know whether they had it when you were there, Caroline, but Payne's Plough used to bring their pop-up theatre.
I don't think we had that then. Yeah, that's wonderful they do that.
And we got the privilege of seeing their shows, and I remember going, and like before uni, I'd never really seen much, to be honest.
No.
I'm from quite a small town in the Midlands, and you know there is theatre, but sort of not a lot of
Representing
it.
the Midlands.
Yeah.
Same here, West Midlands.
Burton on Trent. Back in it. Yeah.
Well, we said last a couple episodes ago, we had Steve Titley on, and we were talking about us both being from Wolverhampton, even though it's like no one would ever know that. Listen to me. But I grew up in Shropshire. So,
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
That's
Nice.
Bunbury all over Shropshire, as Oscar Wilde would say. But, people congregate to Manchester, don't they? But they come from all these different backgrounds, and it's just there's a draw.
I'm an
to this
adopted
place.
northerner now, you know.
Yeah,
Same.
me too. I love the north. But yeah, when Payne's Plough were bringing their stuff round, the first real play I saw when I was in Lincoln was Island Town by Simon Longman.
Oh yeah,
It's about these, I don't know whether you've come across the play before, but it's about these young people who feel like very sort of isolated in their small town due to like their economic status, and they're wanting to leave, and the liveness of it was just unbelievable, and the intimacy of that tent, of the little amphitheatre, the pop-up theatre that they tour across the UK. It just felt like you were sat there with them, and it was, I think at that point I realised like the intimacy of theatre is fascinating and unmatched. Like,
Absolutely.
you cannot get that on the TV.
No.
Love the TV, have a huge respect for it, but that liveness is something else. There's the cliche thing of everybody's heartbeats synchronise when you're in the theatre.
Yeah, you're having a collective immersive experience. That's the thing. Like, it's just so, there's something about it that I think if you're the performer on the stage with the audience, or even if you're in the audience just with the audience, you're on this collective journey. You all feel the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like it's really collaborative, and it's far more collaborative than cinema or TV, because cinema and TV, your gaze is directed. You know, you may have a soundtrack in theatre as well, but everything is edited and colour graded and, you know, shot in a particular way. And there's a huge artistry in that whole section that is missing from theatre that is in cinema and film. But, you know, I always say, I think especially since all this remote working and everything has come in, which I love in many ways, it has, I think, eroded our sense of empathy and our ability to be in a space with other people who maybe we don't agree with. But there is an element of theatre that the audience contributes, and that's their perspective. I think there are animal qualities about us, there's instinctive qualities about us, that when you see a real life person in front of you going through something, you get this sense from them that you don't get seeing them on a screen.
Yeah, and I think just the capacity and the space to be able to respond to something together is huge, and I think like lifts the performance a lot.
It really does.
I think that's an exercise in empathy in its own right, isn't it? When you're responding to something not just on your own, but like with other people.
As a group, yeah.
I think as creatives, whether you are a writer, actor, director, I think there is this fundamental fascination with people and how they react, and I think the psychology, because I always thought before I actually ventured into acting in the creative world, I knew I wanted to work with people in some capacity. I was so interested in how people think. I thought I was going to go down the psychologist route, but I do think there is a theme with everyone I know where I think you have to be. You're interested in people, how they relate, how they think, you know, and that's what we're bringing to audiences when we deliver a show. Whether you're the performer, the writer, you're wanting to showcase that human experience.
Absolutely,
it's an incredible thing to do. And yeah, in live theatre, the ways that people get creative in presenting these unique experiences, I'm always blown away. And I mean, I cry very easily at things anyway, but I'm very reactive in the audience.
I remember being in my early 20s and I was just like, oh, I'm a big macho man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cry. And then now I'm like touching 30, I just cry at everything.
Yeah, it's healthy. Let it out.
Yeah, no, literally,
great.
I always do now. Yeah, I'm very, very moved by things that I'm watching. I think you just, I think it is that empathy. It is that you're watching you feel your feelings. Like I definitely feel my feelings.
Yeah, we're healthy people, aren't we? We're healthy people.
What a note to end on.
Yeah,
feel your feelings.
Feel your feelings,
just
guys.
Feel your feels, guys.
Feel your feels. So, just a bit of a shout out for James Wakes Up. It is going to be performed at the Lyceum Theatre in Oldham on Friday the 7th of August. So we will drop a link. But this is now the time to wrap up, I'm afraid, because gosh, I always say this, but we could go on for ages.
We could.
Discussion is absolutely fascinating. But
yeah, we're so grateful to everyone who comes on, like yourself, Kieran, and shares kind of their thoughts and experiences, you know, just to be here hosting this podcast. But for anyone listening, it's just so interesting, and to hear from a creative about their process and
their perspective. We hear different things every time, and it's such a learning process for us as well, and I hope it's the case for the listeners as well. But on that note, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and listening to the Manchester Indie Theatre podcast. And if you want to be a guest on the podcast, please email mitpoddy@gmail.com. That's mitpoddy@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram if you don't already at mit_pod, MIT_pod. You do not need to be a guest. If you want to talk to us about something or get us to shout something out, you don't have to come and talk yourself. You can send a voice note in. You can just send us an email to read out. If you've got opportunities to offer, if you're looking for opportunities, got a comment on something that was said, any questions, just fire them our way and we'll do what we can with them. Absolutely.
Yeah. We really want to hear from you. So yeah, if you do have a question about directing, writing, acting, any of the in-between, you know, just fire them our way, and we'd love to be able to connect that with the right people who can really answer those questions for you.
Absolutely. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Kieran, and all the best with your ongoing future projects.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
I always love chatting to you guys anyway.
Of course. The feeling is mutual, definitely. But thank you so much to all our listeners, and we will see you again for another episode very soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.